Mr. President, this is an opportunity to debate the European Union's approach to Iran, which of course has been the subject of an own initiative report with Mr. Belder as rapporteur. Mr. Belder's report touches on a broad range of issues and reflects the views of many different interests, but I will concentrate on two issues: the nuclear programme and the human rights situation in Iran, both of which the report deals with extensively. As honourable members know, Iran's nuclear programme remains a serious concern for the European Union and for the international community as a whole. And like this Parliament, I share the views of so many on the issue of human rights in Iran. The continued and systematic oppression, arrests and harassment of lawyers, journalists and others who are exercising their rights is totally unacceptable. We've seen long prison sentences and restrictions on the right to work and travel for up to 20 years for some of the people convicted. When Iranian people wished to demonstrate peacefully on the 14th of February in support of the situation in Egypt and in Tunisia, demonstrations were forbidden. The report also underlines the seriousness of the increase in executions in Iran. The information we have suggests there may have been around 100 executions since the beginning of this year.
Madam High Representative, Iran to me represents the most serious threat to global security. President Ahmadinejad is determined to arm his country with nuclear weapons, and the prospect of a nuclear-armed Iran is too terrifying to contemplate, which is why we must consider all options, including the military ones, to prevent it.
Regrettably, its regime has become a force for evil, masquerading in religious garb. Iran's nuclear weapon program is cause for enormous regional and international concern. Iran has become a source of extremist doctrine. It carries out and sponsors acts of international terrorism. It has a dangerous influence on populations of young Shias in the Gulf states, in Iraq and in Lebanon, and doesn't hesitate to ally with terrorist groups in Gaza and beyond. It has helped train and arm terrorists that attack NATO forces in Afghanistan, and it's a human rights abuser.
Van Orden.
Thank you, Mr. Van Orden. In the light of what is going on in Tunisia, Egypt and Libya, the rigidity of Iran is quite visible. It is a fundamentalist regime killing opponents, and we need to exert pressure on Iran. We need to support Iranian opposition, which is legal. We have a resolution of the European Parliament for this, and we need to supervise the situation in Ashraf, where we have more than 3,000 of Iranian refugees. We need to protect these people. So what I want to hear from Madam Ashton is a clear stance on this. I want to have a clear statement about how under Madam Ashton's leadership the EU is going to help refugees in Ashraf.
Mr. President, Madam High Representative, I also want to join my colleagues in the call to support Iranian opposition and provide for better protection of refugees in Camp Ashraf. These poor people and their families are constant targets of brutal and vicious Iranian regime. Adding to their plight is daily harassment and hostile attitude of Iraqi forces who are supposed to protect them. Madam High Representative, let's not forget these hardly tried people. Together, we need to ensure the EU plays a key role in their transition from persecuted opposition to a democratic government. After all, it is in everybody's interest to see, and hopefully soon, stable and democratic Iran whose citizens enjoy the same freedom and rights as we do here in the EU.
The EU also supports the initiative to create a special rapporteur on the situation of human rights in Iran, as proposed by several countries and several regions. We are seriously concerned about the deteriorating human rights situation in Iran, and this was highlighted by the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Madame Navi Pillay. A particular concern is the dramatically increasing number of death penalty cases, more than 100 so far this year, as we've discussed in our previous debate, and the repression of those exercising their rights to freedom of expression and assembly.
Very much, President and Baroness Ashton. Baroness Ashton, you did not answer my colleague Jan Zardel in the last debate on Iran on the question of Camp Ashraf. The 3,400 people there are suffering psychological torture. This is a breach of their human rights. We give 1.2 billion euros to the rebuilding of Iraq, and yet every time we pass a resolution in this House, every time we pass a written declaration with a big majority, we are simply ignored by the Iraqis. They are torturing psychologically the people in Camp Ashraf with 210 loudspeakers blaring propaganda and threats at a high decibel level day and night for the last year. They are prohibiting access to medicines and the hospital for injured people and people dying of cancer. Why are we not saying stop, or you get no more help, no more money from this House? Thank you very much.
And a very interesting and I think full debate, which has raised a large number of issues that honourable members feel very strongly about. I want to first of all thank all honourable members for the energy and passion with which they've conducted this debate. Camp Ashraf. I think we've got 3,000 people. I'm not sure it's 3,400. The numbers vary. But we have the weekly reports. We're in weekly touch with the UN, who, as you know, are visiting the camp. And they assure me that the basic needs are being met. There are really difficult issues, as the honourable member knows very well, in looking at what might be done around Camp Ashraf. And I'm very conscious of the very different opinions that we hear on this. However, the honourable gentleman is completely right that it's the significant part of this is to make sure that people's rights are not violated and that we do ensure humanitarian support is given. And we do indeed, hence I know about the weekly reports. That's not by accident, it's because we are engaging with this and engaging with the government there to try and deal with that in the best possible way that we can.